I can never get over that. Sorry. Welcome, guys, to another production meeting. We're all here. It's another morning show. Maybe that's what we should change our name to. Morning show.
And sued.
Oh yeah, that's right. How's everybody? What did you guys do this week?
I feel like I didn't do a lot. I watched the first 3 episodes of What If, and I didn't watch the 4th and then the one that came out this week because I never watched Doctor Strange ever, and I did that this week, and I fairly enjoyed it. Still haven't watched the 4th episode of What If, but I did that this week, and so I watched Doctor Strange. Did I watch anything else? I watched the 5th episode of Ted Lasso. Clint is right. It's getting better. I like the depth of the story that it is. It's not just, oh man, it's a goofy guy who doesn't know soccer coaching a soccer team. There's some depth where he's got kind of a struggling marriage and so on and so on. So it's good. I like the story behind it. Didn't play any games this week. Not really. So that's my week.
Yeah, I have no clue. I just woke up, man. I don't remember what I did this week. No, breaking news, Mortal Kombat is back on HBO Max, in case anyone hasn't watched it. I just turned on HBO Max because I put on Matrix as a filler because we were just talking about that pre-show. What did I do? I didn't really watch anything other than... Yeah, I didn't really watch anything. I caught up on What If, was what Alex mentioned, so I did watch the recent one of that. And I played, I've been grinding on Ghost of Tsushima. So that's what I did this week. It was pretty boring.
I also did not do much this week. Took a weekend trip, so I literally haven't watched a full film since I saw Shang-Chi last week. I watched like the first 10 minutes.
Wait, hold on. Not to cut you off, Ryan.
Go ahead.
We're going to spend all episode mispronouncing this and then correcting ourselves. So feel free. It's Shang-Chi, everybody. Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
But yeah, since I watched Shang-Chi, I haven't watched another feature film. I did finish the season of Rick and Morty, which I think I'm the only one who watches.
Nerd.
I don't know. I feel like mentioning a sentence or two. It's managed to stick the landing on like the worst season of the show so far, specifically because it's got 2 of the worst episodes in the show so far. So if anybody is interested and they're not already watching because they gave up on like the midpoint of the season, it gets better. But if you don't watch Rick and Morty, you can probably stop at season 3. Or don't watch it regularly, you can probably stop after season 3. So I didn't really care too much about this. And other than that, I just played a bunch of board games.
Nice. So I know that this is going to be like 3 things, but this was like a lot of content. I watched and finished Mara of Easttown, which was amazing, by the way.
Good show, man.
It was a very good show. And I think this show, the pacing of it is done really well, and the editing, I think, is what kind of makes it amazing as well. Of course, there's Kate Winslet and the supporting cast, Evan Peters and Gene Smart. It's a very good show. I highly recommend it. I finished The White Lotus. I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I finished The White Lotus because it's only like 6 episodes, I think, 6 or 7 episodes. That was just weird. It was just really kind of bizarre, and it is very much a satirical look on human society and like the American like social structures and things like that. There's very good performances. I'm not going to deny that there's the very good performances, very good editing and stuff like that, and the pacing is done really well. But it was just a weird, random show. So it's not that I don't dismiss it, but if you do turn it on, like keep with it. It will get better. And then I started Only Murders in the Building, which is on Hulu with Steve Martin and Martin Short, which is actually kind of good. It is kind of interesting.
I'm sorry, Clint. You forgot to mention it also stars Selena Gomez.
Oh, I'm sorry, and Selena Gomez. who, by the way, doesn't look like she's aged since like Waverly Place. I'm just saying.
She has that Andy Milonakis disease where she just stays the same.
Right.
She's actually
bees on her head.
She does have bees on her head. But it's a very simple premise with like Martin Short and Steve Martin, and it is actually quite interesting. It pulls you in. It's actually pretty good. But that's all I did this week. So, are you guys ready for the news?
Please tell me what happened this week, Clint. Tell me what happened.
Nothing. That's what happened. Apparently, Venom 2 got moved again. I'm not sure.
Apparently, they listened to our last podcast and realized that we were so excited for it that they needed to move it up sooner.
I am super happy about this. I'll be honest. I didn't even know if you finished talking about. But this is not only. I mean, I don't care about Venom, for the record. But first off, we were talking about it maybe moving to January. That's not happening. That's good because studios are going to actually keep movies in theaters, and we will talk about why that is the case in a little bit when we get to talking about Shang-Chi. I feel really insensitive every time I'm going to make that joke now. But anyway, I'm happy that it's at least going to stay in 2021. And more importantly, I think we talked about this before the video, but it keeps it a little further away from Dune. So there won't be as much competition at the box office. So it can come out, do well in one weekend, and then go away.
Which is the hope of MGM, because hopefully it will do well, and then No Time to Die comes out the following week, and apparently they need to make like $900 million just to break even with that film. Yeah.
Not gonna happen.
It'll be good, though.
Oh, I'm sure. But yes, Venom 2 is released. It's going to 10 October 1st.
Tickets are up for pre-sale, everybody. Get your tickets now before they sell out.
Sell out. Yeah. So we had a couple trailers drop this week as well. First off is the Matrix Resurrections trailer. Is amazing, by the way. I really do. You hush.
Listen, I'm just saying. I have a certain aesthetic when I think of the Matrix, and I did not get that aesthetic from this trailer, so I was a little let down, and I was just like, oh, okay. And I wasn't, aside from the like action sequences that were like, okay, that looks all right. I'm just a little worrisome, a little. I just don't see where the story's going, man. I just don't see it. And
to not as big a degree, but I actually agree with you on that. I too think, because that's a whole 90s thing, and it just has that classic feel, I guess. And this doesn't have that. It's trying to recapture that magic, and I too am worrisome that it's just not there, but not as severe as Matt is saying.
I think this is. I'm hoping that it's kind of a step towards not that it needs updated, but keeping it from being just a retread. I think we'll probably get a lot of nostalgia. Like there's cast members that are missing, and I think we'll probably get more of this once we see the movie. Matt, I love that I don't know where it's going. So I can see that, but I also don't really care about. I mean, I like the original Matrix is great, but I don't really care about the series, and I also haven't watched it in not 20 years, but I probably
I feel that. I completely feel that. I love the original Matrix, like the first movie. I love that film. I could give two flying hoots about Revolutions and Reloaded. I could care less, but the first film I love with a passion. So it's been 20 years plus. So, I mean, I don't care for the trailer. I'm going to watch the film regardless. We all know this. So hopefully it's good, but my expectations are below my frame right here.
Which is funny because it's like, I do love the first one. I do love the first one. I had to watch it a couple times. But I'm actually kind of a fan of Reloaded, at least. Resurrection, or was it Revolutions?
Revolution, yeah.
Yeah. The third one, I yeah, I don't really care about it because I think it's like with Reloaded, it sets up that story really well. But the third one was just like, so
You're like, get back in the Matrix. Inside the Matrix is fun. We don't want this outside the Matrix garbage.
yeah,
You don't want 40 minutes of mech battles.
no. And some random person with a, what was it, like a bazooka or whatever? Yeah,
I need Neo versus Agent Smith in a DBZ battle, just fighting out like him versus 100 people. That's what I need.
As long as they don't turn into a really rubbery CGI.
All right. Next trailer was the final trailer for Last Night in Soho. Give me some, this looks amazing. I'm sorry. Huge Edgar Wright fan.
I am super disappointed that I watched this trailer.
I have not watched it, and I don't plan on watching it.
Yeah, same.
You shouldn't, because the first trailer looks incredible and doesn't tell you anything about the film, and the second trailer tells you everything about the film, I think. And I really, really wish I hadn't watched it.
True.
So it's like we watched it or we didn't watch it because we are so excited about this movie, and trailers tend to like we watched a No Way Home trailer, and I'm like, I pretty much just told the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wary about these things now. So no Soho, I'm not gonna watch your trailer because I love you.
Yeah, I was hoping it would kind of go because they both premiered like at the same festival. I was kind of hoping it would go the Dune route, where the second trailer's not any more information. It's just a different angle, kind of from the same trailer but different. You know,
that's what I was thinking of when I almost started watching it. I was like, I thought about the Dune stuff. I literally went the same path, and I was like, you know what? Let's just stay on back. This movie's like right around the corner too.
It is. On the 29th of October.
Yeah.
It's just right time for Halloween. This is how like much news was in this week. I guess the TV show 24, I guess, is apparently coming back to Fox.
What? That's exciting, man.
It is
I'm gonna watch it.
I am too. I didn't like the Legacy, but I will watch this new one.
I watched Legacy. I didn't hate it. Is this like going to be like a one-off type of thing, or are they like legit bringing like a full season?
I
like
think they're bringing
24?
A full season. Yeah, it just says that they're in primary talks about trying to bring the series back. So I'm assuming that it's going to be like an actual series, and I think they should, because Kiefer Sutherland's not really doing anything anymore, is he?
He's just waiting for that phone call.
Yeah, right.
Bring back 24. Every hour, every hour at like 59 minutes, he just stares at the phone and just waits. Because he knows everything dramatic happens at the top of the hour, at the end of the hour.
Yeah. Yeah, bring it back. That's cool. Whatever. And again, we're going back to Scarlett Johansson and Disney versus Disney. Rumor has it, I guess there's an article going around saying that she wanted $100 million for this to go into Disney Plus. ScarJo was looking to get paid.
All right. This is all I'm going to say about this. If this is true, obviously this is one of those things where they're like, all right, her lawyers were like, all right, Scarlett, we're going to ask them for 100, but we're really hoping for like 40 or 50. That's what we're hoping for. We're just aiming high here. The problem with this is, if this is actually the case, they were like, Disney, we want $100 million. And Disney was like, no. And then they just didn't respond with anything.
I'm going to have to agree with you, because that's a lot of money for them to just put it onto Disney Plus. Like we talked about a couple weeks ago, Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot got 20 million, right? To put this on there. 20 million. Where did Scarlett Johansson think she was going to get $100 million for? That's just insane.
10 years worth of work, man. I guess she felt she was owed it. Maybe not even 10 years, like 8 years.
Yeah, something like that. Oh well. Do you guys have anything to say about this?
No, it's being dragged out as too much. It's just like, can we just let this die? Like, can't you just and talking to Scarlett, it's like, you know that Disney is gonna fight back on this, and like we mentioned this before. Like, okay, you gotta take the hit now to maybe stay in Disney's good graces and continue further. It's just like you're just, digging your heels in even more when it's probably not warranted. So it's like ScarJo, pick and choose your battles. Like you're gonna have good productions. You're gonna have good things coming your way. Just let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, unless we find out that like Disney planted this rumor, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And there's no way she's getting that. There's no way she's getting that. So.
Oh well. All right.
But I mean, she will get a little bit of like maybe. I don't know how much. I don't know how it works when it comes to like Blu-ray sales, but I'll be buying Black Widow next week, so there's a little money her way. Maybe I don't know how it works.
Here's ScarJo. Here's $20.
You right? Here's a 20.
I heard you need it.
And right. She's like, here's a signature. Thanks for being a fan. And I was. So.
Oh well. All right. And we're gonna end. That was all the news, literally. Except for we're gonna end on a sad note. Michael K. Williams has passed away at the age of 54. So sad. Best known for probably The Wire. He was in Lovecraft Country, and a few other things. So he's a good actor. So sad.
And then you said you just shared it today. I don't know the gentleman's name. The grandfather, the father / from.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
Michael Konstantine, who was the father in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, apparently passed away as well.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm sure if he were still with us today, he would appreciate the joke of that they tried putting some Windex on him before they called it. Like.
Probably.
But yeah, that's pretty sad. What, he was 94?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was old then, and I'm like, that came out what, 2003, 4?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
early 2000s.
Almost 20 years ago. So I'm like, sounds like he made a good long life. He just kept using that Windex. Just kept using the Windex.
That's it. You guys have anything else?
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say not except for the fact that Armie Hammer might be a cannibal.
I think we already knew that. Yeah, he's been eating people for a while.
Yeah, I just found out this week, and I was like, "Oh, bye, go cry to your."
Yeah, that's where he's gone, man. That's why you haven't seen any good Armie Hammer flicks in the past 2 years.
Well, I don't think I've seen many.
Or
good
5 years.
Flicks.
Yeah. When did Social Network come out?
I was waiting for Ryan to go, well, how old is he? In about that long years.
Yeah, man, there really isn't any news this week. I'm surprised you found that stuff out. The only thing that I see is that apparently for those of you clamoring for that Haunted Mansion remake, they added Owen Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
So now it's Lakeith, Tiffany Haddish, and Owen Wilson. So, woo!
I mean,
the Holy Trinity right there.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets to keep the mustache.
I'm comforted for the fact that I guess we'll probably get like at least 3 laughs out of it, even if it's a bad movie. It was like 2 laughs, like 1 per actor, but now it's going to be at least 3 laughs.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which puts it like 3 over the last one. So
that's true. Which has a chuckle.
We're making progress, guys! Yay!
It's not even Eddie Murphy that gives it. It's the singing quartet or whatever.
Dumb. All dumb. All right. Yeah, I guess we're gonna go into our review of Shang-Chi. So this is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. He has been living in San Francisco under Sean the valet driver. And he is whisked back into his father's world, who is they don't call him the Mandarin in this one, do they? He's the
No.
head of the Ten Rings. And we are whisked away into like some magical worlds and action scenes and kung fu. So to start this off, I'm kind of with Ryan on this one. I'm sorry, Ryan, but like I gave it an 8. This is pretty good. I felt like this was a little bit more like Black Panther-esque, where we're kind of like delving into like other types of worlds within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because in like the comic books, there's all these like different like hidden like forbidden worlds and stuff like that. Like this one is Tao Lao, and with Iron Fist is Kunlun, and you know Wakanda, and like all these other places within the Marvel comic book universe. And I'm kind of interested to see like what they're gonna do with all these like different worlds. Like this one is like I said, it's Tao Lao, and they kind of treat it as like this other dimension within like the cinematic universe, which is kind of what it is in the comic books. So to like bring all that Asian influence and the actors and stuff like that was really kind of interesting to see. I'm not going to butcher his name, but the lead, Shang-Chi, is really good in this. Like he's really kind of charming, and um, like Aquafina's tolerable. Like she's not into it enough to be like annoying. So she's kind of tolerable, and Tony Leung, he kills it as this villain. And I think this is one of the better villains besides Loki. I think this is probably like one of the better villains that they had in the MCU, because his intentions come from like a different place, and I think that that's what makes him a better villain, which we'll get into in the spoilers. But I really did enjoy him as like the villain of this the movie. And of course, the action scenes are all great. I will say, like we've talked about like before, the middle part of this movie does drag. It does drag a lot, and I think it's just the world building that they're trying to do. And I think that they're trying to build this world for a sequel, which I would be really down to see. But yeah, it does drag right in the middle of this movie. So yeah, I give it an 8.
I would like to go last, so whoever wants to go next.
Matt, I can piggyback off of that so we can get the positive ones out of the way.
Okay.
I also gave it an 8, and I feel like it's just going to be 2v2. But I really like this movie. Now I will get into this a little bit later. There is a Marvel grading curve that I will have to debate a little bit, because there are these elements that are just, I guess they're mandatory in every MCU film. And it's not the filmmaker's fault. It's because the studio says this formula has to work, so we have to put in a bunch of CGI rhinos at the end because the battle's not big enough. And this film has those elements, and I don't blame anybody but the studio that's making it. That said, I really enjoyed what this film had going for it, aside from those elements. And those elements I thought were incorporated probably as best as they could have been. Now, I feel like I talked like at least a couple times the last couple weeks about how to incorporate your flashbacks. I feel like there's definitely a missed opportunity or two in that second act, because both this film and Black Widow have like all the drama save for the middle of the movie, which is really interesting. But Black Widow breaks it up a little better, and that's the only thing I think Black Widow does better. But this film, like, there's even a flashback to what looks like is going to be an action scene in the middle, and then they don't really have an action scene in the middle. And I'm like, that would have been great. It's not that I'm bored.
Oh yeah.
It's that we're sitting here and we're learning and we're meeting the characters, and we do that for like half an hour, and that's fine. I wasn't disinterested, but you do go from like character intros, action set piece, character intros, action set piece, character intros, action set piece, story.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I think the payoff is worth it, and I really enjoyed a lot of the character drama. The performances were all pretty great. I thought Awkwafina blended the comedy in this film probably maybe the best the MCU's had. There's definitely some good MCU films as far as blending in comedy, but there were never jokes that took you out of the moment, and that was surprising. There were moments that was like, oh, we're gonna have a serious moment and quip, and that quip didn't happen, and that was really nice. And those moments that were funny kind of stuck with me. You said Sean, and the three of us started chuckling because it reminded me of them making fun of that scene, that name in the movie, and because Aquafina blends right into this movie, she gets nothing to do at the end. I mean, she does get something to do at the end, but they kind of like they write around some of these things, where it's like we have to give all of these characters something to do. And again, that's one of the Marvel things where it's like everyone has to have something to do. But I really enjoyed it. I liked the culture aspect of it, was really, really interesting, and I liked the way they pulled from different parts of kind of the mythology behind it. I don't know a ton of the Marvel mythology personally, but I like the way they kind of pull in different elements of that Asian lore. Tony Leung was fantastic, probably one of my favorite Marvel villains so far. And I mean, everything else was done like in typical Marvel fashion, but I think a little better. Like the choreography was great, the editing was great. That kind of goes away by the end because we just get a lot of CGI, but it still stuck with me early on. The score was really good. I genuinely enjoyed listening to it in the movie, and then yeah, even the visual effects. Like when you do get like visual effects overload, I was like, yeah, but they're good effects. That was the nice thing for me, where it was instead of just being here's a lot of CGI, I was like, well, at least it's really good CGI. So I would give it an 8 out of 10. I didn't absolutely love it, but I think it's pretty great, and I think it's worth an 8 at least for saving the box office.
Yay for saving the box office. I didn't hate this movie actually. I don't know. I don't love it as much as you guys at 8 out of 10. I'm sitting over here debating 6 or 7 out of 10. I watched it a week ago, so it's not too fresh in my mind. But I really hadn't thought about it much until last night before I knew we were going to do this podcast today. And I was like, how did I feel about this movie? Like, really? And I couldn't really think of stuff that I didn't like, honestly, which is why I'm more leaning towards a 7. I just wasn't like, in this, it's not the film's fault, and it's probably the Marvel Universe's fault. I just wasn't wowed per se. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, this is good. This is good, but it wasn't amazing to me. I think my biggest issue with it is maybe the film's title, to be perfectly honest. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Come on, man. Just name the movie Shang-Chi. We don't need a Legend of the Ten Rings. They don't even really talk about the Ten Rings that much. In fact, the Legend of the Ten Rings, the end of the movie, they're like, what is it about the Ten Rings? Where did they come from? I'm like, the movie's about the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shouldn't we have gotten that already? So just take it off the title. Just name it Shang-Chi, 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 whatever. Just name it the name of the guy. We don't need it. Or name it the Legend of Shang-Chi. Name it that. How about that? Take the Ten Rings off. Anyway, that's me. I digress off of that.
That's fair.
Yeah. That said, like you guys said, my biggest fear going into this movie was Aquafina. And to be perfectly fair, she was very tolerable in this film. This is probably the best film that I've seen her in. Just kidding. What was the movie?
Raya.
Raya?
No,
Farewell.
not Raya. Yeah, Farewell. There you go.
Oh.
So,
Yeah.
So, she was okay in her comedy role. You bring up Raya, though. I feel like Disney was like, all right, guys, we're going to learn from our mistakes from Mulan. We're going to take what we've learned from Raya. We're going to combine them together, and you guys are going to get Shang-Chi now. So they just had aspects. It was just weird for me. I don't know if they just love China that much now. If they're just trying to make that almighty dollar. Yeah, there you go. But that aside, it's a good film. 7 out of 10. I think I'm stuck with that. You guys keep mentioning the villain. I don't even count him as a villain per se. Like, I don't feel like he was that evil or like did anything. Like, his motivations were there for everything, and I completely get that. So I don't even count him as a villain, and I think that might be where I was just like, okay, we got some family issues here.
Okay,
you
fine.
guys are fighting it out. Go ahead.
The
antagonist. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he was an antagonist per se.
He was an antagonist.
In the most literal definition.
Well, that might be, Alex, I'm not meaning to interrupt before you get to go. It might be one of the most interesting things is because as far as like what we know about the character going into it, how he performs his role in the film, and I don't want to spoil anything, obviously, but when you get to the third act, he is very much, I think, the story's antagonist, but he doesn't really feel like the character's antagonist. And that's one of the things that makes him such an interesting character. It's like his motivations, his performance, and the way he treats the other characters doesn't really feel like a villain. He's just, I feel like, again, I can't give away too much, but he's just also the problem in the movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that's genuinely interesting.
Oh,
That's-
and you guys
That's
also
why
mentioned.
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Matt.
Oh, okay. No, I was just gonna one last throwaway comment. The soundtrack for this movie, and I don't even really listen to like hip hop really that much or whatever you would call this. It was a good soundtrack, man. It was a good soundtrack. It fit perfectly, and they did a great job picking music for this. So go ahead. You can go.
No, that was what I was gonna say about Ryan. Like we were watching this. Matt and I watched it together, and we both watched it a week ago. But I still remember thinking, Ryan's probably gonna hate this because I quote him to this day as a film is only as good as its main villain, and I thought that he was gonna find fault in this, and lo and behold, he actually liked how it went. So I was like, okay, you surprised me to no end, sir. Yeah, you guys have said a lot of things that I would pretty much glean on. Clint mentioned that how it was similar to Black Panther, and I will agree in that I thought Black Panther was okay. Like I don't know. I maybe I got to watch Black Panther again. I didn't feel like. So I remember watching Civil War and being super pumped for Black Panther because of the potential that he had, and then they like totally tamed him down, and just like, all right, whatever. But that's a Black Panther review, not a Shang-Chi review.
You do need to rewatch Black Panther.
I do need to watch. I think I also, for anybody who is like, oh man, aspects of movie theaters, projector bulbs have to be changed, just like any other bulb. They have hours on them, and I think the theater that we had that in, it was coming towards the end of its life, and so the lighting on that was not very good, and it was hard to see everything. Especially when things were at night. And it was like you couldn't make out things very well. At least I could not. But anyway, Shang-Chi. Yeah, I'm along the lines of Matt. I thought it was. I think it's a solid 7, like no less than a 7. I think it deserves that. And only room to get a little higher. I like the sound. The soundtrack. It was good. I felt myself digging it. I was like, okay, Marvel doesn't really do that too often. They don't mix like with music licensing. They don't really do that. They just go in hardcore with the score and everything like that. That's what they do. So I like that. But it wasn't totally like forced. It felt natural with every individual scene going on. So that was good. And shame on all of you for not mentioning the best character in this movie, Morris. the little chicken nugget looking thing. The best character, easily. Disney knows how to create little creatures that you just fall in love with. I.e. porgs. So yeah, I love that little guy. This story, we've mentioned it before. Ryan and Clint, I both believe, said that you got first act that's pretty good. There's action, there's story, there's character development, and so on. And then there's just that middle third, middle third. That's just maybe I remember waking up at 8 a.m. that day, and then we didn't watch the movie until just close to midnight. So I was going on a good long day, and I don't know if I was just really tired or if that just drug down so much, but I remember nodding like that so much, and that's what drives me down from possibly an 8 to a 7, just because there's just a long, good at least 20 minutes where not too much is happening, in my opinion. But that's a little nitpicking a little bit. The story's good. The visuals are good. I am not crazy about the, as Ryan had corrected himself, the antagonist in this. It seemed kind of like, I think my whole thing is, give me something that I won't expect at all. And I just kind of knew from the beginning, I was like, okay, it doesn't feel like he's not going to be the villain. Like, he's going to be the villain, and he's going to be the conflict in this film until whatever happens, spoilers to come. And I don't know, it's like a punchline. If you know it's coming, it's not as impactful. So that's also why it doesn't, in my opinion, deserve an 8. This seemed very, for the most part, very Marvel, not cookie cutter, formula, but it does mix in a nice blend of like the Chinese culture and lore and just heritage, and it's good, and I dig that. So I like that a lot. So it gives it some personality and some depth and some variety. So I like that. And then the final, scene and final act are all good. Yeah, I mean, it's right in the middle. It's not a top tier Marvel movie, but it's enjoyable. I mean, I will probably, yeah, I will own this because I own every MCU. But yeah, so 7, a solid 7. Like, there is no chance that it should go less than that. And if I watch it again, maybe right after taking a nap or something, maybe it'll be better. Who knows? So solid 7, potential for an 8.
Alex, I will totally agree with you. I think there definitely is a Marvel formula that this film adheres to, and I think it was almost done after the first draft of the screenplay, where you can feel them being like, "Hang on, this is too investing of a character. Tone this down. This isn't interesting enough. Tone this down. Bring this up." And you can feel that, like, all those changes, and that's one of the reasons I love Black Panther, which I have as a 9 out of 10. Is because at least the first 2/3 of that movie do not feel like they adhere to that formula. You get like really, really emotional beats early on. You get like these performances that are pushed to the fullest. You get the villain who's legitimately right, and you get all these things that you don't get in other Marvel movies. Whereas this one, you get great action sequences, funny performances, and these things that are just Marvel but slightly better.
Yeah.
And it does feel like Marvel hold it back, where it's like, it's hard to talk about without getting away, but it's like, hang on, we have one guy at the end? No, we need more things for everyone to do something with. And you get like, okay, well, that's an understandable motivation. What if this and this and this instead? And you feel like, maybe it could be a little better. And I agree with that. I mean, as much as I really liked it, like, this could be better.
Right, exactly. Shoot, there was a comparison I had with Black Widow. It'll probably come to me later on as we talk. Do we want to go into spoilers?
Yeah,
I
let's
was
go
going to
spoilers.
say, too, just before we do, that might have been part of what helped, is that Black Widow ended on like the worst third act in the MCU. That really helps going into this one. I'm like, hey, you know what? Everything that's happening here is so much better than a big sky castle falling from wherever.
Oh, now I remember. You did just remind me. So, similar to Black Widow, this gave like this secondary, not secondary character, but I don't know. It was Taskmaster in Black Widow. I don't know who this character was with like the whatever kind of mask. I think it's called like an army mask or something. I don't know. They gave that person the Taskmaster respect. Yeah, exactly. The respect, the lack of respect thereof, where they established that he's some kind of good henchman kind of guy, like he's like a top tier henchman, and then give him nothing. You gave him / her nothing. So okay. Yeah, that's not a big bugaboo. I think if you gave that person a little bit more depth, it might have made whatever conflict at the end a little bit more impactful. But I mean, they gave us kind of not a lot to go with that character, so I don't know if they're supposed to be like Taskmaster and they're supposed to be more well known and have more to do. I don't know these things, but
All right.
I felt like that's what the case was.
Well, spoiler time.
Yes.
Spoiler. It doesn't matter, Alex, because they died
Yeah.
He got
very
eaten.
quickly.
Eaten.
Yeah, that's my point. Probably shouldn't have made that happen.
Yeah. No. If any villain or any henchman needs any props, it's gosh, can't remember his name. Was it Saberfist?
Oh,
Is that right?
Razor Crest.
Oh,
Razor Fist.
yeah,
Taser
Razor
Fist.
Fist.
Razor Fist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fist, yeah, because it's
Yeah.
his arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's still here. He's still cracking. He'll be here in the next movie.
Oh, I totally forgot about him.
What?
How can you forget it with that car?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, there's certain things as far as conflict goes could have been better. I think that's what I had the biggest issue with.
All right.
Sorry.
So, about this film, why did they need to put Ben Kingsley in it?
Pick me.
Because
Go.
he
Go,
was on
Ryan.
set. Go.
I am very mixed about this. I thought he was a nice surprise, and then he overstayed his welcome. But then the welcome that he overstayed was more pleasant than the middle part of him being in it. And I'm like, I guess this is the best they could have done with this. It's just a hard retcon from Iron Man 3, and it's trying so hard to make you forget that by making you remember that, but right. And they even like give 2 explanations for it. I don't really get why either.
Did you guys watch the 10-minute film on Disney Plus?
No,
No.
because I don't
Okay.
watch short films as required reading for my feature films. No, I know what you mean. I mean, like the All Hail the King short.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
it's a little amuse bouche for
Oh,
this film,
that's
man.
what that is? Oh, okay, I've seen that, but I never.
I
clicked
also
on it.
went back and rewatched the scene when they reveal it from Iron Man 3, and it doesn't line up. Like he specifically says that Killian thought of it, and I'm like, well, he didn't then, did he? I don't know. It doesn't improve Iron Man 3 for me, but I'm like, I didn't ask Shang-Chi to improve Iron Man 3 for me. I guess I kind of the thing I liked about it was that I cannot remember the Mandarin's actual name, but Tony Leung is like, I like that he's talking about it and he's totally okay with it. He's like, yeah, I mean, this happened. And I was like, that's kind of funny. He's not mad about it. He obviously grabbed Trevor and was going to kill him. And that's kind of funny. Is like a professional discourtesy of like, hey, you took my name, I'm going to kill you, but whatever. Like, I enjoyed that. And I think a lot of the reactions, that's one of the things I like so much about the villain is that a lot of the reactions that you'd expect a villain to have, you didn't get the typical villain setups. He doesn't have to kill a henchman just to show he's the villain. You know? And I like that because he's focused on other things. And he's essentially trying to put back together his family at the core, and he's also is also causing the problems in the film, and that's a really interesting thing to be doing. That needs to be stopped.
Well,
I have
yeah.
a question about the final the post credit scene. Since we're already in spoilers, is that supposed to be like, because it was his sister like establishing that empire of whatever it was that she was doing before, or like I guess rebuilding that.
I think she just kind of took over the 10 rings.
Yeah.
Okay.
And now she lets women fight.
Is this supposed to come back and like, is this supposed to be something big for the next one? Because not every post-credit scene means something for the next film.
Yeah. I think it's more like they don't want to just throw away their organization because they've only had the 10 rings in max 3 movies, and it wasn't really important at all in Iron Man 3. It was just Killian and a bunch of fire people. And then Iron Man, it was kind of done by the first act. So I think it was just, we don't want to get rid of this organization, but we have to get rid of the boss of this organization because the story calls for it. You can't really leave this character at the end of it. So I think it's their way. Plus, I think it works for her character. Like, she's never really introduced as necessarily a good person. Not back when I want to.
Or she's not really introduced that much at all.
Yeah, right.
I kind of forgot to talk about her completely.
Yeah, so did I until just now.
I mean, I think that she is a very good character, and I think that's what kind of like fits with this movie, is because I mean, if you think about it, like both villains, like her and the Tony Leung, they're conflicted on like what they're doing, because they believe what they're doing is right, and you know he's saving her, you know, his wife and whatever from wherever she's at in Taolao, and you know, with his sister, she believes that because she can make actual change with the 10 rings, and so she's going to use that criminal, and you know, and maybe make it legit, but like have like a more feminist hierarchy with that. So I think she's a kind of an interesting character. But yeah, it's the 10 rings within the Marvel comics is like major thing. Um, so yeah, like Kevin Feige would be stupid if he was going to just brush it aside just like that. Plus, I mean, who's going to go up against Sharon Carter, the power broker?
Stop. Oh. Look, I don't want to spoil What If, but there was a really satisfying moment in the last episode of What If, and it definitely is because I hate Sharon Carter as a character.
Gotcha. Anyway, I had a whole thought. So yeah, like Death Dealer, like he was kind of like worthless. And like you were talking about, Ryan, I think that like that whole the non-action scene that was going to happen in the middle of the film, I think probably would have worked if they did it right.
Yeah.
And I think it would have given like both characters, I think, a little bit more emotional punch to watch or to see like her, you know, actually die.
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely some influences going into the action scene specifically in these movies that pull from different kind of not necessarily areas of martial arts, but different films that pull from the same style of fighting. And I'm like, you have a 1v several fight outdoors, just do a Lady Snowblood fight.
Right.
We don't need to cut away from it. Like, I get that it's PG-13, but like you could do it PG-13, it's fine. Like, just water it down, and we have an action sequence in the middle of it, and probably a more emotional one. Like,
yeah,
Alex, this kind of goes back to what you were saying, but I was like, there's lots of emotions in this movie, but I don't think any of them ever really hit that hard.
No, I would agree. Like there's the attempt at it, and then it just is like, okay.
Yeah, I think the last fight between Shang-Chi and his father, that's probably the most emotional moment. I love the dialogue they kind of give those two, and that it's not like a really stupid, hard to follow CGI fight.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I thought, because sometimes there's some cliche, cheesy one-liners that the MCU throws out. I do not feel like that was the case at all in this movie. I think every piece of dialogue, or you know, other than, you know, comic relief ones, were like, I guess, genuine, for lack of a better word, because they weren't just throwaway ones that we've heard kind of in a different sense. So I agree with you there. I like that. And so that made that scene, like you said, impactful and more emotional than most, if not all.
Cool. Do we have anything else to say about Shang-Chi?
No.
I feel like I did, but
no,
I just want to know, do you need to have all the 10 rings, or can you like split them up? Can I give somebody like a ring? Can they?
I think.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I was gonna say, I think the idea is that like you don't need all of them, because at one point they're fighting 5v5.
Yeah.
But like, here's another thing. They don't seem that great on their own, but it's like if you have all 10, you know, you can live for a couple thousand years.
I bet that comes to play out in a next movie. Like, I bet they somehow divide the rings up and do something with them. I don't know.
Which is kind of funny, because did you notice that like his age changed like, throughout the movie?
Yeah,
like, at one point
he looks older.
Yeah, like, well, at one point, like in the beginning of the movie, she's narrating the whole beginning, and she's like, for a couple thousand years, this guy is like found the rings or whatever. And by the post credit scenes, they ask him, they're like, "How old is your father?" He's like, "Oh, 1,000 years old." So it's like, is it a couple thousand or is it 1,000? So yeah, and I'm
maybe
kind
he's
of
guessing. There was also like an entire period where he doesn't wear them though too, because he falls in love, takes them off, puts them in a box, has kids.
Because he was trying to die. Yeah, I think he wanted to die with her. And then he's like, "You're murdered. I'm gonna go kill everybody now."
That was a really violent off-screen moment too, when he just, like, crushes this guy's head with the rings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 I don't know. I was gonna ask you guys what you thought of the way they kill off this character, because I'm like, obviously I don't want Shang-Chi to do it, but the character doesn't really, he wouldn't work if he survived through the end of the movie. It's not exactly a villain you could bring back, but then like we have just a big giant CGI dragon thing kill him.
Yeah, when he gets all like Shang Tsung, just steals his soul.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I heard a couple people be like, "Oh, it's like a redemption arc," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't know if giving his son the rings is not necessarily a redemption arc. It's not like he hated his son and he's learning to love him. He's like, hey, you take these. Somebody should have them."
Yeah. Because I agree with you, Ryan, because I think that undertone of father and son's relationship was throughout the movie, and he never like you said, he always wanted his son to kind of like take over for him, because I think he even mentions that like somewhere in the middle of the movie. So like giving up the 10 rings to his son was just kind of like, yeah, here you go. Here, Luke, here's your father's lightsaber type of thing. So,
true.
Yeah, I don't know. But we good? Anything else?
Just like to mention that this film is saved by Awkwafina, who saves the day. She's the real hero.
Which is another thing. Thank you for reminding me. I understand that we needed to keep her around for this movie, obviously, because she's the comic relief or his friend interest or whatever, because they don't really like date or anything. So why did we?
I was gonna say that's another thing that Marvel typically does that this movie didn't do that I like. Continue. There's no love interest, no romance.
Yeah. Where did this bow and arrow thing come from? Like she just like picked up a bow and was like, "This is what I'm gonna do."
It's what Ryan said before. It's just giving her something to do, so she's pivotal in the final act's like outcome.
But wouldn't it make more sense for his sister to do that?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I subconsciously was thinking that after we left. I was like,
yeah. In fact,
wait, what?
It would have been kind of funny for them to be like telling their friends this story at the end, and she was like, "And I was there too, but I helped."
A little bit.
Yeah, and it's not making Awkwafina like useless in the movie, because there are tons of like side characters who kind of just get caught in the mayhem and don't really have a role but are part of it, and that's perfectly fine. But they, I guess, felt like that wasn't the way they needed to go. And yeah, that was an oddity. That irks me more now. I mean, not enough to bug me so much, but that was weird. That was weird. Well, that's all I got.
I guess you couldn't just hide around like Ben Kingsley did the whole time.
Poor Ben Kingsley.
You know what? That was the one joke I don't think I bought. I don't think I buy that anybody would watch Planet of the Apes and then grow up thinking that those are still apes. I mean, yeah, it's incredible makeup still, but like, come on, man.
It's so weird. Okay, so that was Shang-Chi. Coming up next week, we have James Wan's new horror movie, Malignant, which is actually going to be dropping tomorrow, because we're doing this on Thursdays now.
Can't go see it tonight. Thanks, HBO.
Yeah, thanks, HBO.
Hey, thanks, HBO. I can watch it tonight at 3 a.m.
I'm not staying up for that.
Matt, for you, that's just called dinner time.
Lunch.
Lunchtime, yeah. All right. Do we got anything else?
We're gonna be
Nothing?
watching, or at least I am, the PS5 showcase today. Probably not live because boo, we got a meeting. That's not
Boo.
this meeting. But we'll talk about the things that came out of that for next week. So yay.
Yay. All right. Well, then just a quick reminder, if you'd rather take us on the go, and please listen to us on our audio versions on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Spotify. Thank you, everyone, for listening and watching. Please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. And please leave us a comment. We like hearing from anybody. So that's it. This meeting is adjourned.